Everyone's greeting each other. This is such a great night to see everyone here today. Welcome to Green Space Miami. I'm Kimberly Green, and I'm president of the Green Family Foundation. Woo-hoo! And we're here tonight to have a really incredible conversation. I know that's been on everybody's minds, and I think everybody has different perceptions of what's going on in Haiti and how we got to where we are today. So I'm really grateful to have this incredible group of people who will be here speaking. And at the same time, we have a show up now curated by Carl Just and Rebecca Friedman, which I hope everyone had an opportunity to take a look at, called I Am Little Haiti. It's a really special peek into the people of Little Haiti and the views that people have of the environment and of the landscape around them. So I want to introduce Matt Anderson, the executive director of Mosaic Miami. He's a good friend and a good friend to the community, and I just want to welcome him to bring up our panel. So thank you everybody for coming tonight.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Anderson, and I'm Mosaic Miami's executive director. And thank you for joining us for Can We Talk? Really, Can We Talk? For a really important conversation on Haiti. Many thanks to Dr. Kimberly Green and Ray Charles for encouraging our partnership for us to have this conversation. We're lucky to have a really special leader in the community with us here tonight. Dr. Claude Nicolot, who is the Chief Maintenance and Operating Officer for the Miami-Dade Public School System. It gives me a lot of pride to introduce him to you all and acknowledge him, as he's the highest ranking Haitian official in the Miami-Dade Public School System. Also, and I spoke to Superintendent Dotris. He was really sad that he can't be with us tonight, but wanted to let you all know how important this subject is to him. Also, we have with us Michelle Johnson from the Mayor's Office. Michelle? So, at Mosaic Miami, we are really focused on giving. Oh, Doti Joseph, representative. Yes, so sorry. Thank you for keeping me honest. So at Mosaic Miami, we really work hard to give the community a place to get real, learn from one another, and find common ground with dignity without being demonized. And tonight, having the opportunity to create a space to demystify the crisis in Haiti is important, but it's also personal to me. And here's why. Haiti is deep in my heart and deep in my DNA. So, this is my great-great-grandfather, and this is my great-great-grandmother. Their grandson, my grandfather, is here with us today, Jean Villa. I'd like to acknowledge him. So this is a picture of me and my grandfather in Haiti when I was a baby. And that smile that I had then is the same big smile when I'm in Haiti today. After that moment, I didn't get back to Haiti until I was a teenager. And because of Dr. Gelda Nicolas, who you'll meet today, I got the gift of a lifetime to begin going back to Haiti at 33 years old as an adult. And this was a picture of my first time back in Haiti as a grown adult. And this is me with my family at a reunion. And this was really one of the happiest days of my life. And these are the mountains of Fusi, the last time I was in Haiti. And I want to show you this because this picture gives me hope of what can come. So why am I talking about my family. Why is this important? Well, in the media, they only want to use the liability side of the balance sheet to talk about us as people. But we have a lot of assets: our culture, our family values, our education, that really make on our worst day, our assets exceed our liabilities. And yeah, we're challenged, but we'll never be desperate as a people. So with our people, we often use our 3 L's. We have l'école, l'église, la caille, right? So we have school. We're highly focused on our education. We're highly focused on our churches and our place of worship. And la caille. So us as kids, la caille means bring her behind home. And keep it home. But in our culture, the word friend may as well mean family. It's a very strong word. And my grandfather would say a friend is someone that you invite into your home. So tonight, we're inviting you into our metaphorical living room to have a family conversation. What I would love to get out of tonight is a history of how we got to where we are today. What are some solutions? And what are some opportunities that can come out of this crisis that can really move us forward into a new renaissance? So before I introduce our esteemed panel, I'd like to bring up my friend Carl Juste and Rebecca Friedman to talk about this amazing exhibit, I Am Little Haiti. Put your hands together for Carl and Rebecca.
Thank you so much, Michael. Hi, everyone. I'm Rebecca, and I work at FIU, and I have had the great pleasure of working with Carl Juste on the exhibition that you see surrounding you here. And so that is your home for the evening. Your home is Little Haiti, and your home is I Am Little Haiti, this show that was funded by the Mellon Foundation and also the Green Family Foundation Trust. I'm going to turn it over to Carl, and he'll say a few words about the exhibition itself.
So you may ask yourself, why do we title the show I Am Little Haiti? For various reasons. Little Haiti was a gift to the migrant community, those who are seeking safe passage, freedom, equity, dignity, and who paid their lives to arrive here. So as they form a community where they prayed, where they got married, had baptisms, burials, religious practices, learned, they left something special behind. It's the smell that you take in when you walk down 54th Street. It's the music that spills out of the various different boutiques, stores, mom and pop stores. It's the old woman doing hair at 11 o'clock at night to remind us the value of labor and work. But all these values are values that other people have. And this gift, it's time for you to claim it. This gift that we left behind, that people think that that's being pushed out. There's plenty of us in this room have come to the belief that we're not going anywhere. And that this gift cannot be re-gifted or recycled. This is a gift you must accept. Because it's a gift that's based on the promise when we decide to leave the known and come here to the unknown. So as you walk around, we brought together amazing, established artists, writers, young photographers, young in practice. We brought together voices of the community. We want you to see yourself, even if you're not born in Port-au-Prince or Léogâne or Port-au-Paix. Or Cap. Oh. It's always somebody in the room. Okay? I'm going to have to charge for that, okay? Okay, I don't got all day here, okay? But in either case, in either case, pain and joy in Haiti feels pretty much the same in Havana or Helsinki or Hialeah. That's the bigger point. We are a mosaic. Our strength is in our tapestry. Our strength is the threads that bind us. We have a lot of work to do. And it's not work for the weak. So this exhibit is a perfect example of our collective strength. And I'm glad that you're here, and please enjoy this wonderful evening and space. And thank you to Marie Charles and to Kimberly Green for opening your door and allowing your staff to be great collaborators with us. We really appreciate it.
With that said, I'd like to bring up our esteemed panel of thought leaders to the stage. I like it. So this is the panel of people that I really look up to and are a real authority of what we're going to talk to tonight. With that said, I'd like to give the floor to tonight's flight attendant, our moderator, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, Emmy Award winning, real authority on Haiti, Miami Herald correspondent, Jackie Charles.
Thank you. And the one they love to hate.
We love you.
Well, thank you. But if everybody loves you, you're not doing your job. So first of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight, for being interested in this subject. And when I'm looking across this room, it's bittersweet because Kimberly Green and I have shared many moments in Haiti. And wow, we thought we had a crisis then when we give to go back to that period. So I want to thank the Green Family Foundation, Kimberly and Mirai for doing this, Mosaic Miami. One of my first bosses, George Hodge, I'm not aging him, but he's here. He remembered me when. And I have to tell you, I just got back from Haiti. So I was in Haiti yesterday. I was in Port-au-Prince, and I was part of a military embed. I went down there for a look-see to see what was going on. And I think the most interesting thing that I noticed was that I was at the airport. There were no gunshots. I didn't hear not one gunshot. And it's weird because for weeks I've been reporting, people saying how when you wake up and you don't hear the gunshots, you're wondering what's wrong, what's going on, because they've become such a part of the soundtrack today of everyday life. And it wasn't until I got back on the plane that I said to my colleague, Jose Iglesias, I said, "Did you hear any gunshots?" And he said, "No." I said, "Wow, okay." But that does not mean that the danger is over. You can read my story tomorrow, but what you won't read in the story is the fact that despite all the efforts that's been done, and they have really been proactive in addressing this, the reality is that there's still a vulnerability because there's one part of the airport, and the reason why the airport really didn't fall was because that gang leader was not part of this unified group. And that just gives you sort of the nuance of this country. So with that said, I want to introduce our panels. You guys have their bios. I mean, we could be here all day talking about this amazing group of individuals who just in their own right have just done so much. I think what they all have in common is, one, they were born in Haiti. They have made a life outside of Haiti. They're part of the Haitian diaspora, but they continue to fly their flag. And this is taking place just a couple of days before Flag Day. But they have really been at the forefront of not just pushing the narrative and having people who are non-Haitian and Haitian alike think about this country in a different respect and beyond the crisis. Yes, we in the media, we have to write about the crisis because the country's always in crisis. But there are a lot of beautiful stories to be told. So just to give you a little synopsis, Eduardo Valcarrier, whose artwork I can't afford, maybe in another lifetime, is a contemporary artist and curator based in Miami, Florida. Born and raised in Haiti, Valcarrier fled the regime of Papa Doc Duvalier as a teenager and subsequently resided in locales as diverse as Puerto Rico, New York, Montreal, Paris, and Miami. And let me just say that people are just always calling on him, not because he's Haitian, just because he's such a great artist. And during COVID, he did this amazing exhibit of all the presidents of the country and his interpretation, and it was just amazing. We also have Gypsy Métellus, co-founder and executive director of the Haitian Neighborhood Center Saint-Lan, an award-winning neighborhood resource center that serves as a lifeline for the Haitian immigrant population of South Florida. Her community involvement, they are many, and they span over 2 decades. She's an active member of the Miami chapter of the International Women's Forum and the Greater Miami chapter of the LINKS, Haitian American Chamber of Commerce of Florida. She hosts a talk show, she's written, and with her partner in crime, Leonie, they sponsored this fellowship program for young Haitian American professionals who basically want to connect with the country and want to learn more. And Gypsy has just really been a bridge between the country there and life here. And then we have Dr. Gueda Nicolas. She is a professor in the Educational and Psychological Studies Department at the University of Miami School of Education and Human Development, past Secretary General of the Caribbean Alliance of National Psychological Association and co-founder of Haiti Community Trust. And if you've been to any of their parties, you know that they're fabulous, but they serve a purpose. Born in Grand Guave and raised in Tiguave, she immigrated to the U.S. in her teens, like Gypsy. I think, Gypsy, you were 12. Later obtaining her doctoral degree in clinical psychology from Boston University. And Dr. Nicolas has published several articles and books and chapters, and all of them are multilingual, multicultural, and and Dr. Nicolas, I have to give her kudos because she's really been pushing a conversation that in the Haitian community we're not very good at, and that's about mental health. As a young reporter, when all my friends were on Prozac or seeing a shrink, they're like, "You should go see a shrink." I'm like, "I'm Haitian. I don't sit on anybody's couch." So that said, we're going to start this conversation, and we want to have a conversation. We're not looking for silver bullets. We're going to disagree. We want to be respectful. No yelling. No, if you raise your hand at some point, but we want to have this be a two-way. We're going to start with a question about how we got here, but I want to put parameters. So for those of you who have not been following the news, here are the facts. The gangs were not created yesterday. They did not come on the scene in 2021 when the president was assassinated. They have always been there. Kidnappings existed during President Jovenel Moise's presidency. So did the gang violence. So did the massacres. Yes, his assassination has escalated what we are seeing today. There's not one elected official in this entire country of 12 million people because elections were not held on time. Today, there is this transitional presidential council, and they are charged with getting the country to long overdue elections. They've given themselves till 2026 to get out of power. And they are currently accepting jobs for prime minister. If any of you are interested, by the way, there's a Gmail address. There are 80 candidates in counting. The application process closes tomorrow. So you don't have to show that you're not involved in corruption. You don't have to be born in Haiti. You don't have to live in Haiti. You still have to be Haitian, though. You cannot have renounced your nationality. But the application process is over. So given that, I'm going to come back to you first. Gypsy, how did we get here?
Oh, my God.
So thank you, Mosaic Miami. Thank you, Green Space. Thank you to my colleagues who are here. Thanks to each and every one of you who cared enough to be here tonight to join in the conversation. So happy Heritage Month, Haitian Heritage Month, and it's fitting that we're having this conversation and this month, right? So how did we get here? Jackie, we don't have all night, so I can't give you...
I need the 30-second version.
So 1804 is one of the, 1791, then 1804, then maybe 1822, and then 1935, and then 1991. So key dates, key events in Haitian history, right? The first successful slave revolution, right? The year that Haiti is forced to pay this ransom to France to secure and protect its independence. 1935, the year of the American occupation of Haiti. 1991, the year of the very first, by all accounts, you know, the accounts of experts, right, historians and alike, very first democratic election in Haiti, which brought us the 68% popular vote winning Jean-Bertrand Aristide. All right? So key dates, key events. But in between all of that, I think there are elements that explain where we are today. So you've got constant and persistent meddling on the part of the United States of America first and foremost, but also meddling of the folks who find themselves in what we refer to as the core group today, who are supposedly friends and allies. Meddling, directing, deciding, imposing, restructuring the country's economy, restructuring the ways in which people do business, disinvesting in Haitian institutions, ignoring the Haitian state, just running circles around any institution that could potentially stand up today and stand up strong. So these are just but a few elements. Not that we as Haitians didn't have a role to play in how we got here too, because for many of us, it was always about power. It was always about enriching ourselves. We didn't necessarily care about the well-being of the least of these in the country. We didn't care about erecting institutions that could protect, defend, and of course, provide people with peace, prosperity on a long-term basis. We did not invest in education in the ways that we should have, and so many other areas where investing in the country meant, well, if I invest here, that means that I can't keep the money for myself, essentially, just to make light of a very, very serious situation. And so we, as Haitians, Haitian leaders have had their role to play in this situation because, for the most part, many, if not most, were only concerned about the dictates of their sponsors, if you will, whether those sponsors were American or French or Canadian or British, Brazilian or others.
Local.
And their local sponsors. So because the local sponsors were all part of the very same game about, well, let's be rich, let's be well-to-do, let's live a nice life, and at the expense of the country, of the people in the country, right? And so that we are here today with this craziness of gangs isn't just about a political situation, but it's also about the fact that Haitian society has not looked after its young, right? If so many young people could be seduced by gang leaders, could be enthralled by the possibility of exacting power and revenge on people, institutions that they feel never gave them never paid attention to them, never were concerned about them. And so this was an easy walk for them to join a place like all gangs do universally. You join a team of people whom you believe have your back. So these are part of the reasons that we got here. I don't know if I should leave some for you.
I'm gonna have Edouard chime in. Edouard, you want to chime in?
Well, I mean, you say, like 1804. I mean, it goes way back. I mean, the whole idea of, I mean, colonialism, the whole concept of it. I mean, in France, had a particulars, like especially finding a place that was as beautiful as it was productive. And with the help of, like millions of black slaves, I mean, they really transformed it. And the state of France, the crown of France, as it was back then, also created, like for itself, what it is, like what is, I mean, l'âge d'or, the golden years of France, were the golden years of when they had the colony of Saint-Domingue as, like, I mean, the main source of money. I mean, you go to Versailles, if you ever go to France, I mean, this most majestic place was built on sugar money from Saint-Domingue. Yeah. And the French also did their industrial revolution with this sugar, and one should look at it carefully because it was, unfortunately, they did it long before the British, but unfortunately they didn't do it with the steam engine and other things. They did it on the back of slaves. And at one point, I mean, even the obsolescence of the slaves in Saint-Domingue was, I mean, proverbial. I mean, like if you were a slave from Africa and you were on a boat going to the Americas, everybody would be asking, where are you going? Do you know who bought you, or where are you going to be going? If they tell you that you were going to Saint-Domingue, it was a condemnation to death of 4 years. So, I mean, you knew that your fate, like by going to Saint-Domingue would, like you would not last on the plantations in the plains of that island, like more than 4 years. So I mean, and the French really went crazy over it by bringing slaves to the point that they had more than 400,000 slaves by the revolution against, like 25 or 30,000 Frenchmen. I mean, how would they control that? I mean, if there was anything, I mean, how could they control it? That was the silliest thing, like from their point of view, to have created that situation where they had, like, I mean, more than, I mean, like, the quantities were extraordinary. The revolution in Haiti was, like, amazing and drastic in the sense that more than 400,000 slaves died. So by the time the revolution ended or pacified, there was hardly anybody left in the island. So, like, and the world was so scared that they just left it alone, like, because they would not dare, like even, really recognize. They didn't want to hear of it because it went against everything that they believed in. The colonial system, Haiti was the first one to, I mean, throw a stone at it, you understand? And up till today, that system is still vigilant and very well organized. And Haiti has always been a sore, like a thorn on the side of the Western world. But we are iconic. We are special. We are wonderful. We've managed to, like, take the largest and the most imposing war machine of its time, the French, and really beat them down to a pulp. They sent, I mean,
and burnt everything down, and cut off their heads.
Yeah, we did a job on them that, like, they've erased us as we have erased them. And now they're having a problem because suddenly, okay, that Haiti place, wasn't it yours at one point? And they, as they always do, like they're surprised, like, really? I mean, yes, they are. It was yours, and look what it's today. And it's truly, and it's true, sorry. And it's truly, like, as they say over there, un branle-bas de combat. I mean, they're like trying to figure out what they can say, how to say it, and how they're really going to explain, like this. And this article that came a year or two ago on the Haitian debt, which is a scandal by any standard.
So I'm going to stop you right there because we're going to come back to that. But I want to bring Dr. Nicolas into this conversation in terms of, You've heard what Gypsy and Edouard has said. And so how does this play on the psyche of the Haitian population to bring us to where we are today?
Thank you so very much. Honneur à nous tous, honneur. Thank you so much. Really good to see all of you. Thank you so much, Mosaic Miami, to really hosting this event, and thank you for the Green for hosting such an event on this particular moment. People say, like, another talk on Haiti? It's like, yes, there can never be enough talks
Yes.
about Haiti, so I think that really is important. And I was listening to my colleagues, which I agree with many of the things that have been said. And for me, as a psychologist, so I can only go and stay within the lane I know well, right? And that is what we know about colonization, and that is colonization is a mind thing. And the ways that it impacts individuals is to the psyche. And there's a reason for why when we look at history of colonization, whether or not we are looking at Native Americans in terms of what was happening and so on, and we're looking at it in other nations, there's a way to think about what does that look like post whatever one experience was in. So there's a way that we think of ourselves, having gone through this iconic moment in an island qui bay tout bagay. There is nothing Haiti's land does not gives you. Ou plante patate, la donne la bo patate. Ou plante yam, you put yam in the thing, it gives you. You want some good fish, you go to the ocean. So we are in a space that provides you what we need. And many individuals have gotten rich on this poor country that we keep referring to as poor, right, for the most part. But for many, many, many decades, we assumed that when we gained this independence iconic moment, that meant we were free. And we assumed that freedom was done. It was a moment in time. And we failed to recognize that freedom is a continual fight that we have to be in. So what happened because we're talking about, and many of us here have had examples. We have examples in the US. We don't have to use only Haiti as example. There's a way, as a person who came in the US, grew up in Brooklyn, I was told that Brooklyn was the ghetto. We were told that Overtown is the ghetto, and Liberty City is the ghetto. And there's a way that they played that story in one's mind, and then you're forced to leave the ghetto. And as soon as you left the ghetto, right, my brother's still in the ghetto, my daughter lives there now, and so forth. I can't afford to live in Brooklyn now. Now, this is the same place we all thought was the ghetto. And when we're looking at Overtown, Liberty City, and so forth and so on, what will happen then? We will get the message that this is unsafe. Why is it unsafe? Because it is where we are at. And where we are at is not good. So leave as quickly as possible. And the moment we do that, then the other people come in, and now you can't leave at the very place you grew up in. So there's a way we have to recognize that when we're talking about colonization, we're talking about the ways that they have captured our mind. And the reason that is linked to the question you're asking, and that is, if in fact my mind is no longer my own, and I do not see my nation, my town as my responsibility, but I see it as a place that I need to leave as quickly as possible, right? And that's the message many of us who studied, went to school in Haiti received. The message that I received going to Catholic school was not to stay and develop my country, was where else can you go to be able to have a life, right, and so on. And so because of that, then individuals can come in. Gerda, canapé ya un moun ki pa tellement, well, you guys can give me a minute because Mali na Creole la un moment, and then I go back to the English on Lord, right, and so on. But it means that somebody can come to me and ask me to do wrong by my country, and I will accept that. And I say that because Haiti have not had the children of this country who are willing, who are only willing to do well by the country. And what we are seeing right now, even with the prime minister nomination, when 85 people, guarantee you by tomorrow there'll be another 100. We'll be at 95, right? And so on, is that at any given moment, somebody can come and mandem pou van pam lan et m'a fel. Et m'a feli parce que li nan intérêt pam. Et nou ka weli, we can see that if you go from the first flag of the country, the initial flag of independence of the nation has no emblem. Has no emblem in it. Every single flag posted is connected to a leader of the nation, right? So we have to ask ourselves. So it's not a question that we have to say, when people say, well, how did Haiti get there? I have to say, how did Gather get here? How did Gypsy get here? It's how we got here. It's a recognition. It's a recognition of the ways that our psyche has been altered, in the way that we are thinking about our role in this country, in the way that we see the country and our responsibility in it, that we will begin to get some of the answers to the questions that we're asking.
So let me ask you this, and picking up on the same subject. I remember a couple of years ago, I was asked to do a piece for Nat Geo, and it was about Napoleon. And as I started to do the research, I landed on 1802. And nobody talks about 1802, but to me, 1802 was the time when when Haitians actually united, right? And today, everybody's trying to get back to 1802. And they united in 1802, even though some of them were fighting for the French in different parts, but they identified a common enemy, and the common enemy was that Napoleon wanted to put Haitians back in slavery. They were free, and he already did it in Guadeloupe. And so because they identified, we don't want this, they were able to come together, to rally together. So how do we get back to an 1802? Because this is, when you talk to congressional people, even Eric Adams the other day says, when you talk to this community, they can tell you what they want, but when you talk to the Haitian community, they're divided, they're not, so you know, do we just say, well, stop expecting us to be united, but is it possible to get to 1802? What do we need?
I mean, when you look at what the sad,
Microphone.
when you see the sad way the development. I mean, when a nation loses 400,000 individuals, you know, like in a conflagration against the French, and immediately after this, you know, like the French come back and tells you, you owe us money, because they were so enraged of the fact of having lost this very productive and very wealthy place, so they had to pay for it. So what's left for any leader in Haiti to do? I mean, and you can read their histories. Sometimes, you know, like you want to cry.
Well, today we've lost 100,000 under Biden, so.
That's another
And we
session.
paid,
That's
Edward, we
another-
paid.
Yeah, that's another subject. But not only we paid, but what did we learn out of that payment? It took us 100 years to pay that thing. It was the governments of Haiti successively became just manager of a debt. And that's all they took care of, because nation building was out of their reach.
But even prior to the repayment of the debt, remember that even as Dessalines, now head of state, says to all of the newly freed black people, listen, each of you are now landowners, you are free men and women, you've got your land, you've got to keep producing. That was a difficult conversation to have with many people whose experiences under enslavement had them reject this idea that they should keep producing, not just to sustain their families, but for the benefit of the country. Now, we're not going to be Monday morning quarterbacking, because until you in a situation where you're deciding the fate of a country, given the stakes, given what you've been dealt and what you've got to deal with, remember, you've got a population that is so close to having experienced enslavement that when you say, we've got to work the land, We've got to work just as hard as we did when we made France so rich. People rejected that. Rejected it so much that that's part of the reason that Dessalines will be assassinated later on. Right? But you've got that, and then you've got a country that had to repay this debt to France. What happens? The result is that the country becomes bankrupt. And the country continues to be engaged and investing in its security. Anything that might have been a profit was reinvested in, let's build this fortress, let's build this, let's ensure that this coastal town is protected, because the number one priority was to say hell no to enslavement. Again, we're here in 2024. It's so easy to judge the decisions taken by our forebears.
No, they had a tough time.
But
Right?
why have we moved? But why haven't we moved this conversation forward? Because, yes.
But then we
but
didn't
we have
have-
responsibilities
But
that
we
we also
didn't have the
Right.
resources, Jackie, to engage in building a nation. When we became free, we were an example that the world did not want to spread
see,
around.
yes.
Remember that the United States didn't recognize Haiti till Lincoln, the
Right before the Civil
Emancipation
War.
Proclamation, 1865, right? But by then, you are left to fend for yourself. You do not have the resources
You
to
had
invest
no
in your
friends.
country.
You
You
had
have no
no
friends.
friends in the world.
Or if you have friends, they're out to get you. You have no money. You have no money to invest in your country and the well-being of your country. So you make poor decisions. Today, it's easy for us to say that they were poor, but yes, still, the decisions were not necessarily.
But why do we keep making poor decisions? Why haven't we
well,
broken this cycle?
Because when you have a boat, a gunboat in your port,
No,
Every-
today,
calling
today.
you, calling you, and say,
every
if you
other
don't say
year,
what, if you don't
every
do
other year.
what you every
Other year.
very recurrently, if you don't do what I tell you to do, we're gonna bomb the palace. Until
So,
it
but
fell on
I
its
want to
way.
move the conversation to
Yes.
present day,
But it has
guys.
to
So today, so we know the history, and we see this even in this country, right? People say, I grew up in poverty, I grew up in this cycle, but I want to break the cycle. Some people break the cycle, some people don't. Today, we have a situation where at least 30 hospitals have been vandalized, destroyed, schools burned, the National Archives gone, vandalized downtown Port-au-Prince, looks like a warfield, battlefield. It's people destroying the things in their own neighborhoods. And let me just say, one of the things a couple of years ago, like 3-4 years ago, I wrote a story about a kidnapping, and there was 2 Dominicans who were kidnapping filmmakers, and the gang that kidnapped them, they kidnapped them because they had a generator on the back of their truck, and the gang wanted the generator because they were building a hospital in the slums. So the question I've been asking myself is, how does a gang leader who go from building a hospital, recognizing the need for health care for the people in the ghetto that he controls, is today part of a group that's burning it? So how do we break this, and what is fueling what we are seeing today? Is it still 1804?
It is. It is.
If we're seeking a solution today as a Haitian culture, Haitian society, the true value today is educating this young man, the next generation. And until we remove ourselves from the shackles of the past and pass on to this generation the value of education globally, because in today's market, today's education, we're competing globally.
Well, let me
Can
throw
I-
something
can
at
I
you,
just
but
say-
the
can I just
average
say-
Haitian spends almost
But
90%
let
of
me-
their salary in education.
But let me just say one thing, though. But I think it's important. Can I just say one thing? What you're saying, which it's not a disagreement.
It's a correct point.
No.
It's a correct point.
It's not a disagreement. I agree with you around the education, but educating on what, by whom, with what? No. Don't answer me the question. Don't answer me the question. One more moment.
L'école Bolette.
Because because I really do think there's a way that we think of that education is going to be the key. right? And then it's like, what are we educating young people? What are we valuing in the system regarding that? It's similarly here in the United States. Don't know about black self unless you go somewhere else to learn about your blackness, right? And so on. So if in fact we're talking about education, there is all kinds of it that includes education of self. At the bottom of that, to understand who am I, where am I from, and what do I value. And unfortunately, my brother in the back, the people that we have focusing on educating our youth don't care about educating us about that part.
But then
Right?
there's also the question of Haitians responding to the question of what kind of country we want to be, what kind of country we want to build, what kind of country do we envision, and what will it take us to get there? Clearly, education is central to any future call. But then you want to know that we're going to be training and educating Haitians for Haiti and not continue to have Haiti
Have
be a
them be in Canada.
laboratory,
Canada,
laboratory that keeps
États-Unis.
fueling all these other countries. So that, hence the national conversation where Haitians define for themselves what is their vision for this country, what do they want to see happen to the kids, what do they want to see happen with agriculture, with their most productive sectors, and where are the opportunities
And
for this
once
country
they do
to
that,
catch a break.
Gypsy, once they do that, the international community is going to have to stay at bay. So we cannot have people in the country absolutely do that work, and then there's the interference to say, but we will not accept it. Why? Because
Understood.
we don't believe that you are capable of determining your own destiny.
Understood. And so that's the reason why it has to be defined by Haitians. Because remember, when Haiti ceded control of education to the French, President Boyer thought he was doing a good thing for the country. And so what did the French Jesuits do? They educated Haitians as people who see themselves as French.
Yes.
All of the curricular materials,
Gypsy-
everything
But
was
Gypsy,
French.
today
So-
it's not the Jesuits who are running the L'école Bolette. It's not. We're paying
But
$1.50 in the
the
diaspora.
Bolette owners
Yes.
are trained in that Jesuit tradition where anything Haitian is not good and anything foreign is what we want to be. So we've got to break that cycle.
So let me ask you this. How do we break the cycle? Because taking it back to something I said earlier, Biden, 100,000 Haitians have fled, but I did not hear anybody in the Haitian community say to the Biden administration, you know what, this is not a good program
Oh,
because
yes,
this
we
is
did.
this is
Oh,
a brain
yes, we
train.
did. Yes, we did. We said it. We said it. We said it. This was said. We said.
Letters
this-
were sent.
This was not the
Yeah.
help
Well,
Haiti
it was
needed then.
negotiated
We
by
said
some
it.
Haitians in the room.
And let me just say it's the same thing because I sat in a meeting just a couple months ago, which people don't put out into the street. I sat in a meeting in Haiti where there was about 119 people in country who were people from the Biden who went back home. Because they said this dream thing is a lie. Like this branding, and literally I sat in a meeting with people who are part of the Biden who went back home in the midst of the chaos we're seeing, because they said what the United States have done and what Haitians in the diaspora have done is to have good branding for the United States of America.
No, but Haitians, we sell to our fellow Haitians this idea that this land is El Dorado. We do
Dream.
that.
That's what I'm
we,
saying.
We as Haitians do
Yes,
that.
that's
So
exactly
we
what
let
it is.
people, we lead people to believe that everything's golden here. And so when someone arrives to the crude awakening that if you wanna chop, you gotta hustle in this country, they don't understand that. They don't understand that. And so we are part of this challenge.
So I
of
want to
this
bring the
problem as well.
I want to bring the conversation back to Dr. Nicole said this. So what, among those of us who are here in the diaspora, what can we do to we know the history, we know the impact, and today we are seeing what's happening in front of us.
Do we know that history? I don't really think people understand really what has happened and how particular we are in the, in this concert. of
Absolutely.
I'm glad
On nous
or
pose une
not.
question. On nous pose une question dans salle là. Who created our good?
The good.
Yeah.
the
Who created?
Americans.
No. who created the Haitian good and when?
The Americans designed the
Nope.
monetary system.
Nope. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a way. No, but you can look that up. Who created the Haitian good? And what year was it created? You can Google it and see exactly who created it. And at that time, like the good was worth more than the US dollar at the time it was created. You can look it up. So to Edward's point, I think we run around thinking that we know things, but in fact we don't. And there's an opportunity for us to pause and say, have we educated ourselves enough? Right?
And do we know our history and what it
I
meant?
thought it was designed by the Americans.
It was not
during the
designed,
occupation.
it was, no.
Okay,
good-
but the fact
good came
is,
and back.
but the
Rock
fact
the
is,
stuff
today
only.
the Haitian diaspora gives $3 billion a year, and Haitian leaders upon leaders have manipulated the goods so that they can get U.S. dollars and they can bank those U.S.
But
dollars.
it isn't just Haitian
So-
leaders
so-
manipulating the good. The money, the IMF and all of these international institutions and the mandates they impose create the devaluation of the
They created
Haitian
devaluations, but at the same time, when you were mismanaging your economy, so what's the solution?
I won't
Because
say no. I
because
won't say
here's the deal: we keep calling ourselves a sovereign nation. So you're sovereign when you're able to pay your own bills. You're right. You're 18 years old. You're still living with your parents, and you're still depending on them to make your car payments. Are you really an adult? Are you really independent? So we have a country today where the budget is $2 billion for 12 million people. That is less than the budget of the city of Miami. The diaspora sends $3 billion, which is more than the budget, and that money is not money that we can bank
it
and we
more
can put
than
into
the share
bonds, because
of
it is the
America
social
foreign aid?
services. It
That's
pays for
exactly
medical
money.
care, it pays for
greater than the
education.
share
It
of
pays for
foreign aid.
education, yeah. But it's paying for education. So when, and today we have people who are upset that they're paying, that they have to actually pay their fair share at taxes at the douane. 2 days ago, they tried to burn the customs, in Cape Haitian after the price of it. So how do we break the cycle? What is the responsibilities? I want you guys to think about this. What is the responsibilities of Haitian leaders? And then what can we do here in the diaspora to hold their feet to the fire? Yes, go ahead. You guys got time to think about that question. Introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Saint-Just, former professor of University FIU for a couple, I think, 8.5 years. Anyway, this is not, when they talk about the diaspora, they kept asking, what can we do? Okay? My question, every time that they ask what can we do, I go do some research to find out whether it is possible. And I think it's not possible for us to do anything. Because I have a question for any of you here who's Haitian, who's not living in Little Haiti. If you're not living in Little Haiti, this is my question to you. Wherever you live, in Pembroke, Miramar, or somewhere beyond that, can you tell me whether your neighbor to the right and your neighbor to the left and the one across the street of you is Haitian?
Yes, I can. Everybody on my street is
Hold on a
Haitian.
second. The reason why I'm saying that, you may be living, if you're living in a community, and the next Haitian is living in the next block, 90% of you, in the research that I've made, we do not find Haitian that live across or beside another Haitian.
So what do you want to say about that? That we don't
What
trust
I-
each
what I
other?
mean by
You get
that-
problem?
If we can't even live together, how are we going to get ourselves together for a fight like what we're having in Haiti? Because I got to tell you, I have been in Haiti many times. As a matter of fact, I was supposed to get stuck down there. You understand? Because I want to see, I want to go down there and see what's going on. I've been to Delmasis. I've spoken to barbecue. You understand? Because I wanted to know exactly what these guys wanted. You understand? Some people say that I have a pass because I can go through some of these things. However, the diaspora can do it. We can make it happen if we want to. But the idea of putting ourselves together, we have to fix it first.
But you remember that there are lots of groups, whether they're regional associations, they're church-based groups, they're organizations, professional and otherwise, who are Haitian-led, and who come together, and some have stayed together for years. So what you're saying isn't what I've seen. People, what I know for sure is that Haitians do want to improve not only the lot of folks locally. If we live in Miami, we want to improve conditions for fellow Haitians in Miami, and we care deeply about being of assistance in Haiti. Now, the how is where maybe we can have some conversations. But the will to do it, I believe, is there. And I think
Gypsy, I'm going to challenge you on that. Because I had a lawyer, I was speaking with a lawyer the other day, and I would say, we may not live together, but we party together. We're always at our bars, we're always at our parties, because you know. But one of the things that he brought up to me, for instance, this is the largest group of Haitian migrants that have come in the United States. Probably even more so in the 70s. And yet, the people who are coming, they feel so totally alone. They feel that they have no resources. The families, it's not always a great situation. The outpouring of support that we showed in the 80s and the 90s, that they are not finding that. So that's one thing that's brought up. The other thing that I've brought up is, while I think that Haitian organizations have managed in some way to get some sort of a working thing together, the minute that there's an election in Haiti or there's something going on, I see them imploding because somebody decides that they want to get in politics. And I've always referred to Haiti and the Haitian diaspora like a divided family, right? And then the diaspora is the prodigal son that returns and then wants to sit at the head table and then wants to tell the people that are there how to use their silverware. And then there's this tension that developed. And I think what you're saying, and I'm hearing, is that we are divided. So how do we get over this division and we get a united vision for this country and say, here's what we can do?
Can I just say, so here's the beautiful thing, I think, about IT, and I'm so glad because it's Mosaic, because IT is Mosaic in that way, right? And I think there's a way that we talk about IT as if it's a single story, and it's not, right? And we know the danger of that also, as when we think about nation as only being a single story. So I think that perspective of whether or not, right, that one can say, this is based on my experience, this is what I've seen in terms of the divide and so forth. Gypsy can say, in my experience, what I've seen is completely the opposite, and both of them can exist at the same time, right? In the same way that, Jacqueline and I always are going back and forth, because in the midst of Jacqueline covering news and the crisis and so forth, and that is also real in terms of the crises that are taking place, I'm involved in conversations that are related about opening an international airport in Okai, right? And that is also happening at the same time, that people are meeting and having conversations. And there is a civil society group also in the country who's looking about how fratrace richesse moins, as looking at how can you take trash and turn it into electricity and turn it into biogas that agriculture can also use. And at the same time, we can talk about that there are individuals who may not have food in a particular place. There are people in the Jeremy area, right, who actually have an abundance of patat and banan, right? In the same time that we can say that there are people who also don't have food. All of those things exist.
Country of many realities.
And I do think it's important, because if in fact we fade ourselves into this idea, what I refer to as gaslighting, because there's a way that when these things happen, we get emotional, and this is what people hope. I'm gonna say something to you, and the moment it captures you emotional, you are immobilized to actually think beyond the emotion that have surfaces. And the question for me is, how do we not respond to the emotional triggers that people keep giving you, Gus, because they're very good at this community at giving us the emotional triggers. And the moment we get the emotional triggers, then now we're about to meet to talk about the things that people are saying. Like Trump says, we're from a shithole country, we get emotional triggers by that, and now we want to be able to have a response to that. Who the heck heck do I care what Trump says, right? Because now I'm spending time in that as opposed to spending time on strategizing. So let's not get ourselves fed into the divisive language in the ways that they are triggering us. But let's focus our energy on, in fact, we do see. Like, look at us here.
What are the opportunities this presents?
You know what I
Because you
mean?
brought up some of that. What are the opportunities you see this crisis presents for us?
So before we go to opportunities, Jackie, I got to respond to your comment about the 80s, the migration of the 80s being very different from today. So I'll caution us not to compare different moments in time, right? And what are we, 2024, excuse me. Conditions are very difficult, different for not just the families who are hosting their families, their relatives, their friends, who, by the way, they sponsored, right, to get here. Very different from what it was in the 80s. The economic circumstances are different, the social circumstances are different, the social networks are different, and so whether they're better now or worse now, I think it's too soon to tell. I think history will tell us that. But what I know for sure is that I see people, the people who have the least means, being always willing to step up, to shoulder, to shelter, to assist their neighbors, right? So I'll leave it there, just to say that that isn't true, that people are not meeting the kind of welcome that they anticipated. Remember what's in their minds too. People think that they're walking here and there's gold all over the floor. And I think that we, to a large extent, helped to create that myth. So that's one. What can we do? I think this conversation, this can we talk, can we really talk, is potentially a model that we in this community and throughout the diaspora need to adopt. Because there's so many conversations that we've not had, either because we haven't had the time, busy putting out so many fires, or because we've been busy doing other things that are tied to Haiti or elsewhere. We've not had the chance to sit together in groups and clusters to reflect on the lessons of our history. And it's high time we did that. Absolutely. There
I
are
believe in that.
difficult conversations to be had. One of the things we
Understand
can
where we came from, how we came there. I mean, the configuration of, I mean, not one person has sat down. I mean, I was talking to the Haitian Studies Society, have tried to figure out how many tribal people showed up 2 or 3 centuries ago. What does that mean? And, you know, how was it? I know that we disbanded after the revolution. The country tried to recreate how Africa was. And that's why we have, certain groups of people reorganizing. And Haiti is now a Pan-African state. Nobody has studied that to figure out how and who and why did they bend like that? How did they? And
You mean no Haitian has studied that? Or there's some scholarship around
there's
that.
very,
There's some
very
good scholarship
little.
around that. Not Haitian. I'm with you.
Haitian Studies Association, let me just give them a plug out, because the Haitian Studies Association, who puts out this conference every year, and where Haitian scholars do come, Edward, there have been tons of people in the academy who've gotten tenured and everything related to like the studying of understanding this and Pan-African piece around psychology, around IT. But I do think your point is that many people may not even know about those things, right?
Yes.
So people like Matthew Smith, if everybody who Google him can find an excellent book around some of that work and so forth. But I do think that there's a question that, and I know our time is going to come to an end, but I do think that crises are opportunities. And there are opportunities for us to innovate. There are opportunities for us to do differently. And I think that on our end, and I'm not alone in that, is as people are thinking about the kind of military intervention that needs to come to Haiti and to sort of like really address the security and so on, the question is like, what will happen with the young people? We're a country that 64% of the population is under the age of 24. So if in fact we're talking about military intervention and that's all there is, so what will come tomorrow? What's the next step? Like what is happening right now to ensure that there are programs that are being put in place? Well, here's the beautiful thing. We have an excellent organization. Everybody's talking about the gang in Haiti, right? And then for as long as I grew up in Haiti, right, in my 60 years of age, right, I grew up in Haiti, I always knew there was gang in Haiti. You just didn't call them gangs, right? Because until they become brown people, then we call them names. But before then, they would call them something else, right, in terms of the gang. So the question's like, what are we doing about this situation right now in terms of that? But guess what? Everybody agreed that we have a gang problem in Haiti. That's the #1 language that we are using. But we have the best gang alternative organization there is, that everybody tries to emulate, that actually is head by Haitian, right here. So how are we connecting, and that's the convening that has taken place around what is the gang alternative work and program that we need to be thinking about implementing in country that gets at both workforce issues, that gets at the trauma issue, right? Because the trauma is real. Right now, we're in a situation that many of those young folks who are in the gang situation are going back home to where they came from. So how are those communities ready to receive them? And what will that look like? This is the opportunity. While others are thinking about the government piece, whether or not I should become prime minister, and other people are thinking about whether or not I should become president, and other people are thinking about whether or not Kenya should come in, there's got to be a group of people who are also thinking about what about the future of the young people? What is for them? What also are the strategies that we need to be able to think about? What are the alternatives? So 20 years from now, I don't want that young man sitting on the audience to be the speaker on this side because Mosaic Miami have decided to do another conversation about can we talk about Haiti?
Gypsy, your thoughts in terms of solution and moving forward?
I'm sorry.
Your thoughts about moving forward, solutions?
Okay, many thoughts. And so this first piece about us having conversations that help all of us to better understand our history, better understand how this history, as proud as we are of it, as singular as it is, and human history, there are lessons to be learned, to be derived, and to be applied to things that we need to be doing. So lots of conversations between Haitians, among Haitians. So just as you said, there's always been lots of gangs in Haiti. I recall that, the group that we referred to as the Cacos was a gang, but it wasn't the same kind of gang, right? And so to understand that even, that tradition is steep in our history, it requires a conversation, maybe with some experts who know the subject matter, but that there are many of us listening and learning. That's one. The other thing we've got to do as members of the diaspora, we got to really get serious about not just understanding what's going on in Haiti, how nuanced it is, how complicated things are, such that we don't, in all good faith, come up with solutions or ideas, recommendations that seem to be simple, or when in fact they don't apply to a reality that we maybe don't understand deeply enough. So we gotta be really serious about paying attention, following, sharing with one another so that we have a really well-grounded understanding of the terrible and complicated dynamics on the ground.
Reading Jacqueline Charles. Reading Jacqueline Charles.
Jacqueline Charles
On a
is
daily
one
basis.
opportunity, but there are also other individuals, whether they're scholarly or whether they do work in Haiti, they're regional association members. They will tell us a lot about their home areas, and so I think there are opportunities there that we're not necessarily leveraging. And it's just this work of being better organized as people who mean well, who want to do so much for Haiti, are doing so much as we speak. There are people who stay in their lane, right? They do orphanages, they do that well. They do education, they do that and do that well, so on and so on. So there are many examples of success that we can emulate, and there are many people doing this quietly sometimes, right? Again, the idea is to create the organizational structures that enable us to not only deepen our understanding, expand our tentacles, if you will, tentacles here being areas of interest, the work that we're doing, so that we can contribute. And I say this as naively as I may sound right now, coming from a place where I want to do my part because I recognize this is an emergency. So whatever it is that I can do, I need to do it right now, right? And so do all of you, all of us. And so it begins with paying attention, understanding, and learning more. I know there's a lot more.
Yeah, well, we're going to open it up for questions briefly. Edouard, I'm going to have you briefly, and then we're going to open up for some questions.
Yes. I have a baritone voice. That's what I've always said, that it carries. Anyways, Haiti, I mean, there's a lot of, it's a complex situation, and we have to garner also a lot of sympathy, and it's not by fighting amongst ourselves that we're going to gain those sympathies. We do depend on the rest of the world, and remind them also of their responsibilities, especially people like the French and the United States. You know, like that, and the Canadian, I mean, everybody. I mean, you know, like we've helped in many instances. I mean, we even, you know, like during the Civil War, I mean, you know, Haitians participated. I mean, we are always participating in grand moments, and we always have something to say in those grand moments. I mean, but when it comes back, payback time, then nobody wants to pay us. I mean, why? I mean, we liberated, you know, like that's a conversation. I mean, the coffers of Haiti made sure that all of these countries exist in South America. I mean, you know, like, I mean, Bolivar, I mean, just took all of the money of Haiti, did whatever he did with it, and he never, I mean, not even a thank you. I mean, you know, like, it's incredible.
That's why you got Petrocaribe. So let me, before people leave, questions. Somebody had questions, comments? Okay, we're going to keep them short. Okay, yes.
So you were talking about the gangs and the young people. When I hear what happens after, I hear how do we balance the need for accountability for these people who are doing some serious atrocities, right? And making sure that not just we provide alternatives, but how do you have a reconciliation component that's appropriate for Haiti? Because some people are saying, oh, we need the guy from El Salvador to come and do what he did there, which is just kill a bunch of people, versus how do we try to rehabilitate those that we can, you know, address the punishment? How do we do that?
So brief response. She's asking the amnesty question.
Yeah, and so, what, yeah, but I think it's important that, like, when we think about, like, gang situations in the U.S., when we have the LA riots and we have the, like, New York gangs and other gangs and so forth, we did not in the United States say, let us get a group of military folks and go to the community and do X. That's not what we said to address gang situations in this country, right? And so, yeah, well, okay, let's leave that one alone, right? So, but I do think that we have so I think, like, we have to understand the gang situation, and we have to understand it in terms of both the individuals who are financing it, and let me tell you, I can tell you, I know for a fact that there is a family who did not want the people to come to Matissan when Matissan was black, did not want the traffic to go to Tigouave, to pass by their neighborhood up in the hill of Pétionville, who asked a gang to come and put themselves there to prevent the people from the south to make the trip there. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to understand the larger picture in terms of who financed it, what is it about, right, and so on. Because if, in fact, we're just saying, what are we going to do with the young people, but we don't address the systemic and structural issues that are associated with this, then we're going to find ourselves right back in the same place.
And whatever that solution is, there are frameworks, there are examples throughout the world where gang-ridden countries, nations have come up with their process of reconciliation to a resolution. But whatever it is, it has to be defined by Haitians in Haiti, right? And so if they decide that those engaged in atrocities need to admit so, like they did in South Africa, admit it, and maybe the community will reintegrate you. That's the process that they decide they want. That's what has to happen. I don't think that we have opinions, for sure, but I don't think we can dictate what that model looks like for the good and well-being of Haitians in Haiti and the communities who are suffering from the violence that inflicted on them by these gangs.
Leonie?
Yes, that was a horror.
The U.S. government funded this poster to encourage people to get rid of their local pigs. And that decimation of local pig really destabilized the Haitian economy compared to, Bernard Dietrich compared it to the Great Depression of the U.S. And that's what prompted a whole bunch of out-migration and total destabilization of the rural sector. But
No, and to add insult to injury, when they have, I mean, it was a half-baked idea.
Yeah.
They did not even finish the project. They just packed up and disappeared without paying anybody.
With the
And they were
consent-
wrong.
With the consent of their local Haitian allies.
Yes.
And Brazil had a similar problem, but they did not force the Brazilians to kill their pigs.
And it says, goodbye, little pig, you'll find others. But the others come from the United
never
States.
showed up.
Well, they did. They did. Not, they brought the American pigs who lived on more than the peasant earned for, it cost more than $100 a year to feed an American pig. So that was a disaster. But my point about the gangs is that I think that it needs to be part of, as you say, larger societal framework. And that's where the idea of we have to come together to have a vision of what we're fighting for. We know that we are at this critical point where we have to rebuild something. We've missed the opportunity with the earthquake because, Hillary Clinton brought Michel Martelly. We know that we've missed a whole bunch of historic opportunities. This is the opportunity where we can again, we can talk about piecemeal. We have to have this program for the gang, but it has to be part of a larger framework. In 2004, Brazil came. Remember Viva Rio, when they came in and they were going to solve the gang problem? And they empowered gangs. Because when they came in, they were feeding people and you had to be part of a gang. So it was like the hippest thing to be is to be part of a gang because you were going to be in a program that Viva Rio offered, Viva Rio. So I think that we have to, when we're talking about these gang problems, we have to look at the so-called solutions of the past, which were not Haitian-led. There was no Haitian around the table when they were discussing strategies. And so I think that we also have to look, because there have been multiple efforts to address, to root out the gang problem, but it did nothing but fuel its metastasized growth. So
Become an industry for some people.
Questions? Your brother? Yes, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Athena. I'm the president and CEO of Global Ties Miami. We work closely with the U.S. State Department, and I've seen over and over again, and it's been such a frustration to see U.S. diplomats with their glasses on of American exceptionalism and being prescriptive of what countries ought to do, right? So my question is, if you guys could be Anthony Blinken and create a policy, and what I'm hearing is complexity, right? I'm hearing that there's so much complexity in this problem. What type of policy, or maybe one part of a policy, of the U.S. policy towards Haiti, do you think could help?
Agricultural policy.
Let's just
Stop exporting rice.
Let's just let's just give you a list since you may have the ear.
She said
you know?
one. She said one.
Okay. God. Okay. So we.
Exporting U.S. rice.
Okay, here's U.S. rice, but right.
Local rice economy to research.
And that's real. Okay, that's real because we have a really excellent report that just came out that actually shows some of the rice that's coming out of Arkansas. The grain came out of Arkansas.
Okay, so let me just say,
Okay.
but
Wait,
But I spoke to the researchers on that, and it's beyond the headlines. What happens is that Haitians' diet, they eat, all rice have this acidic thing, even the rice that we eat in the U.S. So it's not special rice that they're growing and exporting to Haiti. It's the fact that we eat so much rice because our agriculture is shot that we are being overly exposed, to this. So it goes back to Gypsy's idea, which is like, if you allow us to grow this rice, which unfortunately now is overtaken by gangs, but the local rice in Haiti doesn't have as much of that acidic.
But I think that right now, so just so you know, there's been a bill on the floor of the Senate, of the House, we call it the farm bill, right? That's been there for years now. And what the farm bill would do is to actually allow Haitians to feed themselves and be able to export. Because remember the Clinton policy that was put in place that prevented Haitians from actually exporting. So we're in a country that has, which we just saw this wonderful report in Haiti, that we have a little bit over 200, close to 300 types of mangoes. Can you imagine? Right? That many types of mangoes and so forth. But we all have a mango tree. So we have to be able to export it to other people to be able to sell it in terms of economic opportunities. What builds societies economically? It is the ability for that society to be able to sell to other people what it has. So when you block that from happening, then it doesn't allow the country economically, right, to prosper, right, as well. So that farm bill, which everybody could go and take a look at and see what it really is about, right, is one that we have been fighting for and arguing for to ensure that and Haitians in the diaspora who are voting individuals can play a role, because we put these people, right, in office, and we can advocate, and allies of Haiti. Remember I said allies of Haiti, not friends of Haiti, right? Allies of Haiti can make sure that they're actually advocating for the opportunity for us to build the economy. I have to be able to make my own money and be able to use my own money that allows us to be able to prosper, right? And not having that is a huge impact.
So let me say, and unfortunately, the mango economy is one of the casualties of this gang violence. So of all the 200 mangoes, there's only one mango that could be exported because it's the only mango that can sustain the hot water treatment that the U.S. government requires so that you don't bring in disease and all this other stuff. But what happened was, because the inspectors could not access these neighborhoods because the gangs now control all of the roads, literally all the roads outside of Port-au-Prince are gang control.
Most major roads.
The major roads out of Port-au-Prince, if you're going, you gotta go to Jeff, you gotta go through Jeff Canaan to get to Central Plateau and to go to the north. To get out of Port, you can go through the back road, but you're literally, every time a Haitian takes to the street, they're putting their life in danger. People do it, but they're literally risking their lives because you don't know when it's going to turn. So that is the deal. This security crisis is having this other ripple effects. But there is another bill, the Hope Help legislation, that the people in the administration support, but they're waiting for some vehicle in Congress to put this so they can pass it, and it's to support factories. But in the last 2 years, Haiti has lost over 20,000 factory jobs, because if you're Walmart or you're Target, this crisis, and you don't know when you're going to get an order, that's the challenge. Right. Yeah, but there are opportunities in terms of agriculture and other areas to help people help themselves. Yes.
Yes.
Jeffrey. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey here. I'm a Sunflower Fellow from the Class A. As well as Dr. O'Sullivan from in from what I've been gathering from this talk, you know, we talk about the fact that a lot of those different issues, whether it's like economic, whether it's like the gang, you know, it's all structural issues that Haiti is having. That, you know, it's like just fixing the gang issue itself is not the answer because, you know, that's part of a larger problem. You know, and you know, Dr. Nicholas talked about, you know, like how since the beginning, like the Haitian mind has been colonized. So I guess my question is, like, concretely, how do we decolonize the Haitian mind? Because even in the diaspora, you know, we contribute to it. You know, like, you know, when we go back to Haiti, you know, the way we act, you know, like, oh, the U.S. is like, you know, so great for that. Now, even when the Biden people come in, now they expect something, right? They expect, you know, this great American nation, and they realize, oh, you know, I have to work for everything I have. And, you know, even when we're sending, I know, like, everyone over 35 have done this. You know, when we're sending work to Haiti, you know, like when we're sending pepper to Haiti, we're sending out, you know, we're dumping all those, you know, American things, and we're telling Haitian people that what we're building in Haiti is not enough, it's not good enough, you know, so it's like, maybe less pepper, blanc, I said, you know, the things that we're building in Haiti is not enough. So my question is, how do we completely decolonize the Haitian mind?
That Pepe example, that's one of the things we need to stop doing, to let the industry, you know, the small mom and pop.
Gypsy, I saw one of your election T-shirts on the streets of Petronville one day. I did. I'm not lying.
I didn't send it.
No, you didn't.
So Pepe
No,
is
you
the
didn't.
used,
It's the used clothing, Kennedy's.
But we have to discourage that, because what that's done is kill the seamstresses, the tailleurs, the people who made a living making clothes, repairing clothes, altering clothes.
But what do you
They're
substitute it
activists.
with when there's an entire informal economy that lives off of Pepe?
We need to offer them the opportunity to regain that sector, revive that sector.
Not sending out dirty clothes to
Stop
Haiti
sending
that's going to
those
do that. But let me
Pepes.
just answer your question very quickly about the decolonized mind. We have really good information about what is the process for how do I stop my own self-work. It's a self-work that I have to do. And the first step in that process is to ask a whole lot of questions. Decolonizing of one's mind begins with questioning. So I'm at a meeting in Haiti, and I am sitting in the whole community of Haiti at a meeting, and I'm frustrated. And I'm frustrated at this meeting because I don't know what's going on at the meeting. And part of the reason I'm frustrated at this meeting is because I don't have an agenda. I don't know what's happening here, there, next, who's going to be speaking, and so forth. And so I'm like getting like more and more agitated. I'm like, why can't they have agenda? You know, so we know who's coming next. And then I had to ask myself, stop and say, where did you learn that you need an agenda in order for a meeting to run okay? Who fed you that information? And is it true that you need an agenda for a meeting to run well? The moment I pause and ask myself that question, and I begin to take a look, the meeting was running beautifully. There was a clear agenda. There was a clear way of doing it, right? But it began with pausing and asking a lot of questions. Why am I wearing this? Why do I do that with my hair? Why is it that I think I value this? Why do I think this is beautiful, but that's not beautiful? We have to start asking a whole lot of questions so nous can nettoyer. We have to clean what's in there now. Because if we don't clean it, if we don't clean it, all the good stuff that we're supposed to put in it, there's not going to be any room for it. So think of it, your closet is full of junk, because that's where we put lots of stuff in it. But somebody just gave you a beautiful bag, and you need to put it in that closet. Do you have room? No, because you have to clean that room first in order for you to make space for that. So go nettoyage, we have to clean this mind, and it begins with every single one of us. We cannot ask the question of others. I cannot ask Gypsy to do that if I haven't done it myself. And then I have to recognize that it is an ongoing process. Because like your closet that you cleaned this year, that you were so proud of, by next year, guess what's happening to the closet again? if you don't maintain the cleanness that you need to maintain on an ongoing basis, right? So ask yourself questions, lots of questions.
Viola? Question? Yes. Go ahead.
Bonsoir tout le monde. I'm going to spin this around in a different direction. Earlier, we were talking about opportunity for the diaspora to get together, right? I think we are at a beautiful crossroad, as bad as things may look. We are in a position where the diaspora has a voice. This is also, we have a lot of elections coming up. This is a time where we can get together and make our voices heard. I attended a meeting last month with you where we had a discussion about the money that France owes Haiti. And we also had a discussion about the money that America owes to Haiti. Haitians in Haiti cannot ask for that money, but the diaspora can impose it. And that's the thing that I wanted to talk about. We have a very strong voice. We're very strong people. And we have big power. We have a lot of our brothers and sisters in very high positions. And I think we are at a beautiful crossroad because everyone is looking. Everyone is listening, and everyone is paying attention. And this is a time for us to gather together and put our voices together and demand for those monies to be returned to Haiti. And another discussion that I was having, they may not want to return the money to us in the form of dollars because, let's face it, we have a corruption problem. But they can return it by building infrastructure, we can put a plan together and decide who's gonna pay for what. We need better roads. We can say, okay, France owes $32 billion. A portion of that money is gonna go to bring better roads, to make a better airport, to have education advance in Haiti, and so forth. They're never gonna give us the money, but we can put a plan together where we're gonna delegate how the money they owe is gonna be spent to give us the Haiti that we deserve to have. That's what I wanted to say.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I just say one thing related to that? So just so you know that there is a group of professors at the University d'État d'Haïti who sat and did the research based on the New York Times article that came out, and they brought those experts who did the analysis, and they've been meeting with them to put forth a document. If you just went last week, they are tweeting about exactly this reparation, and they have a very clear idea of what they want to do with it. So you actually don't even have to come up with it now. There's already people in country who's already been working on that you can then help support, right? As opposed to go and create it all together.
And let me say, Aristide, New York Times did a nice job, but they did not break news. I mean, Aristide in 2004 came up with the number. I mean, he came up with the number.
And a purse.
Yes, he came up with the actual number that was owed. Yes, go ahead, you're in front.
Okay, so my name is Najira Chaputo. I have a degree in international relations. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a life consultant. I focus on looking at things from a systemic lens and decolonization. I have to say that one of the things I'm noticing, and this is my question, there is a global movement about decolonization. Yeah. There is a global movement against U.S. imperialism and other Western powers. I am in several meetings with younger people, and I'm noticing that our Haitian leaders are not present in these type of movements. Many of us are very silent about these movements, and I'm just wondering, because I feel like as we were talking, sometimes we make Haiti seem like a silo, like Haiti is its own, like what's happening and we may have our own issues, but there are very much interconnected, and I feel there's a lack of solidarity and collaboration. So I'm just wondering, and often we feel that we're by ourselves. But I have to say, when I'm in those meetings, people are talking about Haiti, but yet I'm noticing we're not present and we're not collaborating. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Who else? And then you in the right after. And then we're going to be wrapping up, right?
And wait, let me get your
Anybody else? And then we're gonna wrap up. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Welenji Desir. I am a Saint-La Fellow Class 8. My question is, as a community, I think it's common knowledge that we are politically aligned with the Democratic Party. So over years, to different Democratic presidents, we have always had demands about what the United States foreign policy should be towards Haiti, and also what the United States domestic policies should be toward our community here. But one of the things I realize is, I don't know if I'm wrong, is that sometimes we may not be as firm as other communities in our demands that make it difficult for changes to happen here and also to happen in Haiti. Often we talk about what we want for the country, and has a strong community here who have this, our vote really matters, but what happened, we haven't been able to hold the Democratic Party, which we are mostly aligned to, accountable to the foreign policy that they have towards Haiti. So regardless of what we may want for Haiti, if we don't challenge the foreign policy establishments of the United States, it's like we are really wasting our time, because what they want to do, if we don't really have red lines that they may lose our votes if our demands are not met, what's the point of really having an agenda that will not be met? So that's kind of my question. What are our red lines when it comes to having the party that we are loyal to, at least to meet our demands? Thank you.
Thank you. I can take a stab at that. Yeah, go ahead, especially since your Democratic Party has given up on Florida for the presidential. Go ahead.
So can y'all need the mic? You can hear me. I'm gonna just say this: empire. It doesn't matter whether it's Democrat or Republican. It's empire. And sometimes the Republicans are for black people back in the Lincoln days. Sometimes the Democrats are more for black people. When we're looking at the presidential election right now, we have no good options as Haitians. That being said, there's a clear worse option, right? And I don't say that to be like lesser of two evils. I hate that. I hate that. And I wish that's not the situation that we were in, but we need to be eyes wide open about what's at stake as Haitians, as black people, as immigrants. These people are no joke on both sides, right? And we need to know that. So it's not, we can't just simplify it as to Democrat, Republican, because I have no real allegiance to either. My allegiance are to my people around the world who want to be free. That's what Haiti means to me, right? So when we talk about those things, we need to be strategic in our decision making, and we need to find better candidates. If we want people to fight for the things that we care about, we need to find those people and put them in office. Because otherwise, we have people who see Haiti as something that just could just disappear. And I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about other people too, who look at Haiti that way sometimes, right? There's Haiti fatigue. So we need to take care of us. No, the cavalry is not coming. And if the Empire cavalry is coming, they're coming to take resources. Period. End of story.
And let me just build on that. $674 million is how much the United Nations is asking for a humanitarian catastrophe. You have over 360,000 people who have been forced out of their homes by gangs. Young girls 11 years old are being raped and forced to have kids. People are living in just awful conditions. 80,000 cases of cholera when we literally was just months away from eradicating it. And now it's spreading. So regardless of where you stand on the question of intervention or security outside force, this is the UN saying we need $674 million to feed people, to get them help. And last I checked, I think it was only like 18% funded, and that's because the UN put some of their own money in it. So when she talks about Haiti fatigue, it's like, wow, the world is not even opening their checkbooks to say, let me save a life. I mean, that's where we are today. You know, that's where we are. And it can't be that the world is full of humanitarian crises. I mean, this crisis is 2 hours, from our shores. So, we often think that people in power go to sleep and wake up in the morning thinking about us and thinking about what's happening to us. And unfortunately, they aren't. And as a member of the press, I think I do take some responsibility in that we have really given you a sanitized version of this violence. We don't tell you everything. We see the videos, and it's awful. It's atrocious what happens. And when you're there and you're on the road, you live in fear that you're going to be grabbed because 2 years ago, the gangs were getting you your medication, and they were giving you a doctor if you had diabetes or high blood pressure. That's no longer the case. There's no guarantee that you'll make it out alive.
Thank you so much for all of the information. I'm actually Venezuelan, and this is the first time that not first time, but I'm learning more about the situation in Haiti. And I see from the different questions that we have, they're very high level in policy and politics. So I wanted to pose a question, generally, for all of you here, what do Haitian wants? What do the people of Haiti want? And what can the diaspora want support those wants and needs? And also how can the day-to-day citizen can support as well? Because I know it's not the same thing, but I could relate a little bit with the situation in my country where we can think that the problem is so big and it's so impossible to solve that we lose hope, but at the same time there's so many people that want to do the things and they need the support. So I kind of wanted to ask both of you in the panel and maybe also people in the public, what do Haitian want and how can we support as well the individual people?
I think the Haitians want the same thing that the Venezuelans want. They want to be able to live in peace. They want to be able to dream about tomorrow. They want to know that the money that they are investing in their kids' education, because it's the only thing that they still believe in today, despite everything, is that there is going to be a better future, a better tomorrow. That's what everybody wants. People want to be able to live in their own country. They don't want to be able to take a dangerous 7,000-mile trek through the jungles of South America to get to a border and not knowing whether you're going to be allowed to stay or leave. They don't necessarily want to sign up for a humanitarian parole program to come here 2 years. They want to be able to have a visa so they can come and go, and they want to be able to make a life. The question is, how do we get there? And I think that's what, Gypsy and Gerda and Edouard was saying. It's we have to come together and define our vision, and we have to put aside our own self-interest and figure out what that, ultimately what the goal is, and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stay on course. And that's where the divisions happen, right? Because everybody has a different idea, or they get detracted.
And I think that we could look at examples of successful diasporic involvement, engagement, right? There are many, right? So we look at what they've done, how they've done it, so that we can at least create a roadmap that's appropriate for us. Because you're so right that people want to do. People are doing. And sometimes we don't even hear about it. But to have it be on this scale where it's organized, it's integrated, it's synergistic, we've got to work at planning that.
And I think it's also really, and I'm so glad you're here because we have such a close ties with Venezuela, right? And we sort of understand some of the issues that we are managing. And I think to the extent that there's a conversation out there that says Haitians don't know what they want and somebody should démentir you. I don't know how you say démentir in English.
Call them liars.
Okay, call them straight, whatever we need, right? Set them straight, right? Because I don't think that is the case at all. There's a way that we put that message that says Haitians don't know what they want. And that hasn't been the case ever. Haitians have always known what is it that they want. And I think that all the things that Jacqueline mentioned are a central part of what human wants for their society and need for their society and so on. But we also have to recognize that there is an international interference. There is somebody with a knee on your neck, right? That is also there. And we can't not recognize that. So we have an example. For all of you know, for the last couple years, 2 years now, we've been asking for the United States to stop the guns from coming to a country that don't sell guns, that don't produce guns, right? And the people go to the United Nations, they make exactly the same speech. If we stop the guns from coming into country, it will destabilize the gangs in country and so forth. So what can people do here is about also how do we serve as good advocate for exactly that. The issue of when it comes to like gay white issue, that's my issue as a human being. I shouldn't have to be gay to also take that on, right? When it's Venezuela issue, it's not your issue only, it's our issue to be able to take on. And right now, Haiti needs allies to be able to get there. It's not just the 2 million Haitians that can get us there. And to me, this is what the conversation tonight is about with Mosaic Miami, is that we all can play a role in seeing the Haiti that we need. Not just the 2 million that we keep talking about that is a part of the diaspora. And for that to happen, we have to put ACE in place. Allyship is about ACE. It's an easy way to remember it. We have to acknowledge what the issues are. We have to acknowledge the role that we play and the role that the international community is playing vis-a-vis that. We have to be able to have these conversations and connect. That's the C in ACEs. So we have to acknowledge the issues, we have to connect with one another, engage in the tough conversations. Even when we disagree, we're gonna be in the conversation with each other, right, to be able to do so. We have to educate ourselves. You have to educate yourself about what is this country? Why do people care about it? Why the United States has the 4th largest embassy in Haiti? Why does it continue to be a thing that people want? Why? So we have to educate ourselves. And lastly, we have to take a stand. We have to get to the place where we said, I am willing to take a stand vis-a-vis this country. I'm willing to do what I need to do in terms of that. And that's all of us to be able to do so.
All right, and one last question, and then I'm going to have each of our I'm going to thank you, and I'm going to have each of our panelists give a little wrap-up.
Bonsoir. Thank you guys so much for having this panel and for allowing me into this community. I don't have any direct ties to the Haitian community. I'm a child of the Cuban diaspora, so there are a lot of obviously ties and similarities to a lot of the stories there. I have a very similar-ish question, but I'll kind of reword it to be a little bit more specific. A lot of what I heard tonight was something that I've heard a million times from my own Cuban community, which is the Haitian community needs to be able to make its own decisions, and it does not need intervention from the outside. So as an outsider, what are some specific ways that I can support the Haitian community without being intrusive? I heard a lot of specifics, so I'm gonna look into the Haitian Studies Association, which is not something that I knew existed. The Haitian Farm Bill is not something that I knew about, so I wanna do some research. I've been taking the free Haitian Creole class at the Little Haiti Community Center during May, so I'm really excited about that. I'm awful at it, but you gotta start somewhere. But so what are the best ways that I, as an outsider, can support you guys in your work and in your, in your mission and in such a similar situation?
I think that you're doing all of the right things. So what most people don't know about me is my stepfather, who raised me from the time I was 3 months old, is Cuban. So I spent the first years of my life Cuban. Spanish was probably my first language. And it's unfortunate that U.S. policy in terms of wet foot, dry foot really created a certain tension between Haitians and Cubans that actually does not exist. In Haiti, there's a relationship there that goes back years. And when I went to Cuba on multiple occasions, there's a whole Haitian community that's there, but I think it's back to where Gija says, it's building allies. When you look at the history of this community in Miami, the way that we were able to make some of the breakthroughs from the very beginning in the 1970s, it was the African American community that was there and that welcomed and formed this coalition. And then later on, we had other groups that came if you have a policy, an anti-immigration policy by any administration, it doesn't, you may think it affects your community, but it affects all immigrant communities. So, my thing is that you're doing what you're doing and looking for organizations to speak to your causes and your advocacy, and you can, and just get involved.
That's exactly right. Never can we talk.
Yeah, and to Dr. Point, I think you're doing all the right thing, and I actually applaud you because I think most people are actually not going beyond what is it that they're seeing on the news or WhatsApp, right, and so on that they're getting, that we have to do the deeper work, right? Part of educating ourselves is not waiting for somebody to feed us something, is how do I go in and get something and chew on it, right, and so on. And one of the things that you begin to see is that there are a number of organizations. Right? Look at like what Carl and Edward is doing vis-a-vis art, right, that are also right here. Look what La is doing right here, that you can go and pick up a Creole book, right here to begin to understand it. The book fair is right here. The Haitian Heritage Month is a whole month of activities. Oh my God, right? So there's so many things that I think we have to take the time, because there's a way that we think we know when we don't know.
But
right?
don't see yourself as an outsider. Is what.
You're doing really good. Yeah.
But your question raises for us the need to organize and be strategic about planning conversations like this, such that you can not only create more relationships, but understand on a deeper level. So thank you for that question.
Make a suggestion?
Yes.
So first of all, thank you for your interest. A couple of easy opportunities to engage. As a Cuban American, just recently the administration issued some changes that impact both Haitians and Cubans trying to come here. And they eliminated political asylum as an option if you came here, quote unquote, illegally, right? That is illegal under international law. That is an opportunity for our communities to advocate together around that. Right. That involves bringing, whether it's our legal scholars together, our political activists together, and finding out who those people are and us having some of those meetings, right? So that's one thing. Another easy thing is FLIC, the Florida Immigrant Advocacy Coalition. We've been working together on some options to, for example, stop deportations. You can follow my social media.
There was a flight today, by the way.
There is a flight today. DOTIE Joseph. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram all the time of ways people can get engaged. And feel free to reach out to me. I answer my own DMs, and we can talk some more strategy. You just tell me what you're trying to do, and we'll plug you in. There's lots of organizations, from whether you're involved in mental health, if you're trying to get involved in, amplifying media, especially at your age. What a lot of people, and here's one thing, and I'll just finish this with a question, whatever you want to call it, is people want to know how to help. The same way I'm here as a Haitian American elected official, I'm not going to speak for the people in Haiti because I respect self-determination, right? But what are we asking for? When we look at other communities, there are specific asks. I know what I can ask for here, some of the things I just shared with her, but it's still unclear to me what the specific asks are, and I think it's time for us to have a community conversation to lay out what those asks should be, even if they change. They can, but we need some way to develop. We talked about a lot of the stuff from agriculture, but I'm just reiterating this request because people from Haiti are calling me, and I'm like, you need to be telling me. So it's just, that's it, my request. I need an agenda.
So I want to, great way to wrap it up. First of all, I want to thank all of you that came out tonight to be. I'm going to, oh, sorry. I thought you brought that dog for you.
It is a follow-up question, kind of, so I'll try and make it quick. But so my name's Catherine Camargo. I'm half Haitian. I grew up in Miami, and I'm an artist, curator, writer. I've been a fan of your work, Edouard, since I was really young. And I was painting my whole life, and at a certain point, I realized I was getting so many scholarships and so much attention because I was making work as a female Haitian artist, and I almost got turned off from that, which led me towards more research and curatorial, and that's just my own personal journey. But because of that, I kind of get frustrated sometimes seeing how much of the diaspora is finally being represented in amazing shows like this and in general in Miami, and how people are starting to pay attention to work that our artists make more so. But I wonder from a curatorial side and to be an advocate more so, like how do you recommend that we can get past it just being aesthetic, Like how can we really draw more so attention to like the concepts that are beyond just beauty and are more so tailored to what's happening in Haiti and how we can help Haiti as artists. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice on that.
Know your history. I mean, that's the best. I mean, me, it's been a process. I left Haiti when I was very young, and when I went back, I was probably 9 years old, and I went back to Haiti when I was 14. And I've been trying to understand that country and learn about it ever since. And I've yet to find out so much.
And embrace it. I mean, you know, all three of our panelists were all born in Haiti. I was not born in Haiti. I'm also half Haitian. I was born in Turks and Caicos. I spent my life sort of fighting a battle, but I've always claimed my Haitian identity, even when people in my own family says, "Well, why do you have to say you're Haitian? You're not Haitian. You're British," you know. I mean, and I remember one day my mom said, "Well, when did you get so Haitian?" Because, you know, she faced a lot of discrimination and prejudice, and that was not. But I said, but everything that you did from, you know, my visits to Haiti, you know, I had to go and kiss all the strangers that came in the house. I had to serve them in a saucer or get the water dumped on me. All of these things that you didn't think, yes, that happened. All of these little things, it's part of your identity, and so you embrace it. And yes, people will come to you for whatever reason, but it's part of a journey, as you mentioned, it's part of your process. And you find your way, of contributing. No, we don't have to all fly our flags, and we don't have to go, you know, in the protest. But, you know, there's a part to do, and I think that one of the unfortunate things that have happened today is that a lot of the younger people don't understand the immigration journey. You know, our parents didn't suddenly wake up and they were American citizens. You know, I'm always fascinated by the question in terms like, well, how did you get legalized? You know, like the Mia Love deal. But I think in an understanding that, and that's where we understand our vulnerability, and that's sort of understand, you know, where we fit in the larger scheme, and then that's what helps us figure out how we can contribute and make our mark. And join Gypsy's program, because her Fellows program is really a great program, whether you think you're Haitian or not. But it really is an opportunity for you to really gain an understanding and some knowledge about the country. Because as Edouard says, you could live there, you could be there, and you still don't understand it. I mean, for real, it's a very complex, it's a country of very many realities, and it's defined in so many ways.
But we are iconic.
Indeed. All right, so on that note, I want to thank you all again for being interested in this subject, for coming out. This is Haitian Heritage Cultural Month. There's so many different opportunities. It's not just an opportunity to eat griot. You know, from this wonderful art exhibit, my friend and colleague, Carl, who, by the way, is half Haitian, half Cuban, you know, talk about, you know, the connections. And, you know, to Haitian Flag Day, we've got Compa Fest, we've got gallery shows, and this is Miami, so every day is actually Haitian Heritage Cultural Month. Despite, you know, what I write in the bad news and everything, there are things about us to celebrate, and no matter how bad it is, we find a reason to dance and to commiserate. And I thank you, Mosaic, for this conversation, because it is a conversation that we need to continue to have among ourselves and with the larger community. And I'm going to have each of our panelists do a little wrap up, something I didn't ask or you wanted to say. So you got 30 seconds. Edouard, I'm going to see.
Well, no. What I want to say is that, yes, Haiti is very peculiar, very particular, but a lot of people have written about it. The stories that we hear, that we know, are given to us by people that probably were not the actors. And it's time for us to rewrite, reframe, and see how we can reconnect with that nation from those points of view. Because, I mean, really, Haiti is very peculiar, very particular.
That was great. I want everybody to hear you.
That's what we could have been doing. I know.
Gypsy.
I'll just say that I certainly hope that we, as Haitians, Americans of Haitian descent, find a way to just be reconnected to our legacy, right? To the sense of history that would then inspire, compel us to just embark on the work that has to be done now at this particular juncture, at this crossroads where Haiti finds itself. This is an opportunity for us to get moving, do something. And so I'm hoping that this and a lot more of these will help us get there. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The quote on the wall over there by Baldwin says that a home is not just a place, it is home, it is memory, it is longing, it is place, it is object, it's all of that. We kick off this present conversation today with Matt sharing a lot about his own connection to that and the ways that he is connected to it. This whole conversation tonight is about what can we talk? Can we really talk? It is important for us to actually create spaces for us to have these conversations. And as Edward said, we don't know. I'm uneducated. I'm uneducated, and I need to claim that I am uneducated to allow myself the opportunity to be educated about the things that I haven't been taught. So if, in fact, that we are interested in the next step, we have to do the work that we each have to do to not be afraid of our own shadow, to not be afraid of our own culture, to not be afraid of the things that is a central part of our own identity, like voodoo. You said the word, people get scared, but it's a central part. Like, how did that happen, right? And so on. So we have to move this needle, and we have to move this needle in a way that is at the individual level. We have to do the work that we need to do to be able to get there to the next level. So we are hosting Libérez Tête Nou. Libérez Tête Nou is taking place on October 11 and October 12. It is a community event to really bring it in. I'm excited about Lionel Benjamin coming in and others folks coming in from Haiti around this particular place. If, in fact, we want to see a different kind of Haiti, a different kind of space, les arriver, it is time for us to libérer tête nous, pour nous qu'à libérer communauté nous, pour nous qu'à même penser de libérer d'un pays. Merci.
Thank you very much. And again, Matt, any closing words? Okay, Kimberly, any closing words? All right, well, I want to thank, okay. All right, well, thank you all. Again, we'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you, this was lovely.
Thank you, Mosaic Miami.
So this is her picture?